you seen some of the early versions of these cinematics and stuff?
Oh yeah, no, I've seen all the early versions, seen all the animatics, right? We've got all of the animatics, which are just pencil sketches with, voices we've recorded in the office on a PC mic, and music taken from movies that we like, put in as temp track, right? Yeah. All that stuff. And we've had those in for quite some time. And now, as we're getting closer and closer to the end here, the cinematics guys are taking those out and putting in the actual in-game movies. And so yeah, there's a lot of stuff. And that's the other thing too that's really helpful for us because of the delay. Like the cinematics just get more and more polished as a result. Like we were going to rush those a little bit without the delay. And the delay is, voices we've recorded in the office on a PC mic, and music taken from movies that we like, put in as temp track, right? Yeah. All that stuff. And we've had those in for quite some time. And now, as we're getting closer and closer to the end here, the cinematics guys are taking those out and putting in the actual in-game movies. And so yeah, there's a lot of stuff. And that's the other thing too that's really helpful for us because of the delay. Like the cinematics just get more and more polished as they're talking, and they talk about orc scouts over the hill, and they go over the skill, and they meet, they'd find the orc scouts. So it's cool to see the environments, but you couldn't get close up on these guys. Right. You really couldn't see, Arthas anguishing over a decision that he'd made. You had to play that in your head. You had to just assume that it was true. But now we can focus in and rush those a little bit without the delay. And the delay has bought us a lot of time to make those even better.
What's one word you'd use to describe the cinematics?
Oh, I don't even know. Epic, I guess. A lot of them are really over the top. Like, we've got a lot of moments in there that are character moments, which we lose in a lot of our other games. Like, we did bring characters like, Arthas and, Jaina onto the maps. Oh my God, you really get to see the carnage and the horror of a Zerg rush as it, boils towards you and a couple of Marines. So we get a lot of different moments with these in-game cinematics that simply we never would have had before. We just didn't have this kind of bandwidth, we didn't have this kind of firepower, we didn't have this engine that could support us doing this, and it just creates just a much stronger experience.
I can't wait. I know last year I asked you this question, so I'm going to ask you this question again.
Cool.
Now that a year has gone by and there's been a lot of changes, especially with the Zerg, like you mentioned, what is now your favorite race?
In Warcraft 3, we could actually see these characters on the map, and you could see them talking, and they talk about orc scouts over the hill, and they go over the skill, and they meet, they'd find the orc scouts. So it's cool to see the environments, but you couldn't get close up on these guys. Right. You really couldn't see, Arthas anguishing over a decision that he'd made. You had to play that in your head. You had to just assume that it was true. But now we can focus in on these characters, and when Rainer's making a really tough choice about what he wants to do about an infested world. Does he go down there and kill everybody, or does he try to save? What does he do? You get to see really close up, how he feels about that and what's going on, and sort of feel the anguish of that decision. At the same time, we've got battle scenes against the Zerg built in this engine, right, from a first-person point of view, right? And just really, oh my God, you really get to see the carnage and the horror of a Zerg rush as it boils towards you and a couple of Marines. So we get a lot of different moments with these in-game cinematics that it's just kind of a given. You just kind of do it whenever you remember to do it, and so that's not as much fun a choice. So we want to change that mechanic up. If we can think of something cool, we'll do it. I've had some positive feedback on it. I don't quite agree with it, but I'm listening to it. So we'll see what happens when we go to beta. We'll see what happens. When other people get a hold of it, if they like this mechanic, we may keep it. But I'm sort of gunning for it right now. I'd like to see it change up.
Beta test. How close were we before the pushback?
Well, I guess not that close, right? Like, I'd hoped that we were more ready, but looking at the overall package, we never would have had before. We just didn't have this kind of bandwidth, we didn't have this kind of firepower, we didn't have this engine that could support us doing this, and it just creates just a much stronger experience.
I can't wait. I know last year I asked you this question, so I'm going to ask you this question again.
Cool.
Now that a year has gone by and there's been a lot of changes, especially with the Zerg, like you mentioned, what is now?
Yet, it doesn't really quite make sense to go into beta at this point. But the multiplayer game is playable. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and we certainly want to see what the fans think at this point.
When in your mind, when are you aiming to get the beta out at race and why?
Well, I don't really get the luxury, right, of having a favorite race. Like, for me, I need to love all these children equally. So in terms of the race I'm best at, it's probably still Protoss, but I think that's because that race is too easy. So
you think so?
I do.
What are you going to do to change that?
Well, I don't know yet, but we're working on it, and we're working on it pretty hard. Like, the macro mechanic for the Protoss, I still think is the easiest macro mechanic in the game. There's not a lot of energy, tension in that decision. For the Terrans,
of the year was when we can expect the game. In your mind, is that feasible?
I hope so. Like, certainly it's a good possibility, and we're definitely fighting for it. We're going to do everything we can to get it done in that time, but development is development at the end of the day, right? We will hold it if it's not ready. We'll hold it if it's not good enough, doesn't meet our standards or our fans' expectations as well. And who knows exactly what will happen. We've got, well, to get additional resources, or do you want to use that for a comm set? That's a decision. And that's a decision that can cost you the game. So you're sitting there, there's no attack going on, you're in no danger right now, and you've got your command center selected. You have to decide what's the right move. Am I going to lose the game if I choose this wrong? And those are the kinds of decisions that feel really powerful. You know you could make the losing decision or the winning decision right now. Do you have enough information? What do you want to do? That's a really interesting decision. The progress mechanic is just kind of a gimmick. You just kind of do it.